Dan Soder just stopped in. How you doing, pal?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
We were, we were just sitting here talking about baseball books that you read as a kid.
Oh, I was all Matt Christopher growing up.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's my age. Matt Christopher was like the only thing I would read as a kid. And you just read these weird kid sports books.
Yeah, we were just talking about these. They don't exist outside of kids' world, and they're written for you. And it's the first books that you fall in love with when you're young.
I mean, you really care.
Yeah.
It'd be really great if they threw some dark shit, like in kids' books, like steroids, conflicts, and
never shows up. They're just all good fellas.
Yeah, the womanizing.
Yeah.
Like touchdown for Tommy. Turns out he's banging half the cheerleading squad, and he's got a coke problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's why this guy's putting up 200 yards a game. Yeah, kids' sports books. When I walked in, I heard you guys talking about sports, baseball umpires, which that has to be the shittiest life.
It's awful.
I don't know why you would pick that. It's like tax man and umpire.
Right.
No one's going to like you.
Well, no one pays any attention to you until you make a mistake. And then everyone in the fucking stadium is on your shit.
I wonder how many death threats, on average, umpires get.
Oh, yeah. I think they have to go out of their way not to let anybody know where they're staying and all that kind of shit.
They're like celebrities, but of the shittiest kind.
Yeah, right.
No one wants to fuck them or do drugs with them. They want them to die.
Yeah, no one will ever brag, I blew an umpire.
That's my sister. She's got a thing for umpires and drummers. It's like her fetish.
Here's a great one. And to me, one of my all-time favorite players. It was called I Ain't an Athlete Lady by John Kruk.
Oh, dude, he's the best.
What happened with Kruk, the story was he was sitting there, I think it was even at a signing, and he was eating a steak, drinking a beer, and smoking a cigarette all at the same time, mid-season. And the lady goes, "This is terrible for you to be in front of kids like this. You're an athlete." And he goes, "I ain't an athlete, I'm a ball player."
Yeah.
And it's really true.
That's like that was back in the day. I just loved that shit. Like, that really, to me, was like, I romanticized that maybe because I was born in the fleeting era of that when like athletes, that was their job. They weren't millionaires. They were just like paid pretty well.
Yeah, they were paid more than other people.
Yeah, but they weren't like insane.
Right.
It wasn't the 90s where everyone got millions. It was like like, I always joke, like, football players back when they had to sell air conditioners in the off season.
Yeah.
That's like old, you know what I mean? Like, these guys were animals.
Well, you're going back to like Pete Rose.
Yeah.
He was like a car salesman. Some of these guys would be bartenders and would have to sit there and, take tips while guys were saying, "I don't believe that you lost that game to the Cardinals.
That 2-run shot you hit against the Orioles, I had money on that game. No, that was a double vodka with orange juice. Have you never made a cocktail before?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be like, I think that's what kept them in check.
Well, it was, and they said back then, too, that they would be friends with the sports writers because they all made about the same money.
Yeah.
But now, Jeter lives in a castle. And the sports writer is still making, $35,000 a year. He's not going to identify with him.
He's in Poughkeepsie, just his wife screaming at him.
Just a blogger.
Stop writing about the Yankees.
He's like, "It's my love.
You're never home.
Yeah,
You're never home."
To follow the Jeter-mobile from the Bronx to his estate in Manhattan.
This was also one of the really great ones. Really about when baseball was really nuts, and that's the Bronx Zoo.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Bronx is burning.
No, the Bronx is burning is a great one too.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
But the Bronx Zoo was Sparky Lyle wrote it. Now this is how crazy Steinbrenner was. Sparky Lyle wins the Cy Young, and the next year he's sitting on the bench because they got Goose Gossage.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson is on the fucking team.
Billy
Martin is getting fired and rehired.
You're hired, you're fired, you're hired, you're fired.
Just crazy days.
Yeah, that was awesome. I grew up, growing up away from the East Coast and growing up away from the Yankee fandom, it's always fun to go and just like kind of discover the history of the Yankees, and you're like, this guy was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with the San Francisco Giants and the LA Dodgers, so that was like the rivalry I grew up with. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to the East Coast, and East Coasters love to discredit West Coast baseball.
Right.
They're the first to be like, my buddy who's from Boston's like, that's not a real rivalry, Giants and Dodgers. I'm like, Dad, they moved across the country to keep that rivalry going.
Yeah.
They hate each other. If you've been to a Giants-Dodgers game, there is
they kill each other.
Brian Stowe got beaten half to death.
Yeah. But the weird thing is, if you think about that used to just be a borough rivals. You know what I mean? Like, you would get on the subway, go to the Polo Grounds and play ball.
Yeah.
3 of the big league teams out of 12 were in New York City. Then you had
away from each other.
Yeah. Then you had Philly, DC, and Boston, all short trips after that.
Yeah, and I think the longest one was probably Chicago, right?
Chicago and St. Louis were the West Coast kind of trips. Like, look, I got to take a train out to Chi-Town.
We're going to be gone for a couple days.
Crazy road trip.
And then they would have like their own train. You know, like the Babe had a train car that was his. Yeah. That must have been like having a private jet in those days. Yeah.
I think that's even cooler than having a private jet. Yeah. Now, you're running on coal, you're running on real fossil fuels, burning it to the next game.
And then he's back there making ribs. He's just fucking cooking ribs in a train car.
The second that baseball players stopped smoking, I think it lost its true... I like the thought of a guy ripping a Marlboro in between innings.
Well, you know, after a while, they got to the point where they would try to step into the dugout and just out while there was smoking.
Doesn't happen.
Who was the Pirates pitcher that threw the perfect game? Or he threw
Doc.
On acid.
Yeah, that's Doc Ellis.
That's
right?
What it is.
And now some people said it wasn't, but we talked to him once on the phone after this when I was doing, and he said to us, and you'd have to trip to know this, but he said that the hardest thing for him was getting the ball back from the catcher because sometimes it looked like a balloon and sometimes it looked like he was throwing a pea. And we just fell on the fucking ground.
I can't imagine tripping your balls off standing at the pitching mound like, oh boy. You're not even afraid of the pitch you threw.
Well, he didn't know that he was going to play that day. Somebody got scratched, and he thought to himself, I'm going to be out in the bullpen, a nice day. Why not just drop acid?
What else going on?
And then he heard his name come up.
That's got to be the scariest. You're just tripping. It's starting to set in.
Well, everyone talks about it like, oh, he pitched a no-hitter. Can you imagine? Do you think... He didn't pitch a perfect game. He threw like 12 walks in that game. And the weirdest thing is it wasn't on TV.
Yeah.
It wasn't on TV, so we can't go back and watch.
Yeah, beat writers just describe it.
But that would be the only times that I would go, like, I'd watch that game over and over and try to pick it apart if I could.
Easily. And you know what you think about it? Him throwing it was probably, when they don't talk to the pitcher, it was probably better for him because he was probably out of his head already that he wasn't concerned about giving up a hit.
I would definitely ask that at least on the PA they play some music.
Yeah.
I gotta have something. You know what I mean? Does anyone have any Yes albums?
Yeah.
Just something to settle me in, not too aggressive.
I went to the Pirates game, and I don't know if this is a new thing, but they're just playing Jefferson Airplane the entire game. And I think the pitchers really responded well to it.
Yeah. I did the Dream Week stuff where you go down and play with old players, and they are seriously some of the funniest fucking people I ever met in my life.
One of my favorite YouTube clips is George Brett talking about shitting himself.
Yeah.
Shit myself last night. It's the way he says it. I'm like, God damn it, that's funny.
Yeah. Actually, Johnny Collison told me a story about when Rusty Staub shit himself with the fucking Mets, and he said he was running, he catches the ball, and as he does it, he shits himself and just keeps running straight into the dugout. Doesn't break stride. Yeah.
And there's the catch, and he's going all the way to the dugout.
Now, I'm hearing this from a guy that at the time must have been pretty well into his 60s, and he can barely stop crying. Yeah. He's laying on the ground, he's laughing, and I'm like, you just never grow up if you get to hang around the game. You know? You stay a little kid.
It's just, I was always so bad at baseball when it got real. Mm-hmm. I got beamed by a pitch in my ribs when I was like 9, when kids started throwing.
Yeah.
When you graduate to kids throwing, and this one kid could throw heat. because he was long and awkward, and he put one right in my rib cage. Screwed baseball up for me. Playing baseball for the rest of my life.
You were done, just like, oh, you can get hurt playing this.
Man, I got jacked in the ribs, and I was like, fuck that. I made that first try to breathe, that, and I was like, I'm done. That was it. That was baseball leaving my body.
When I remember, like, the first time we were playing Little League, kid on my team, and a fucking ball comes in. He was throwing it pretty good. And the kid steps out and he yells at the pitcher, "Slow it down!" Because that's what he was yelling in the neighborhood. Yeah. And all the parents were laughing, and we were like, yeah, you ought to slow it down, dude. That's fucking coming in pretty quick. I'll never be able to hit that.
There was this kid in our Little League named Tremaine Rice, and he was one of those kids where he was like 6'2" when he was 11.
Yeah.
And he threw fucking heat because the mound's closer,
right?
And he's a full size, and he had no control. And I asked my coach if I didn't have to bat. I was like, "Can I not bat?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And then you just hear one of those balls hit the cage, and you're like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This guy's gonna take my fucking head off."
I don't want to be in there. That's when you know baseball wasn't in your future.
Yeah, I would much rather. When I started playing football, I enjoyed it way more, which is way more violent of a sport. But I was like, "Hey, at least I'm not gonna get hit by a tiny hard ball in the ribs."
Did you see any of the Friday Night Tykes show where the 8 and 9-year-olds play?
No, and everyone's told me to see it. Is it on demand?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, regular Time Warner on demand should be.
It's Esquire TV
I will rip
channel.
through that.
Yeah,
I will watch that. I will probably watch it all night tonight after my sets because I'm fascinated with two things.
Yeah.
Little League football I find hilarious, and number two, aggressive parents that push shit on their kids.
Right.
I find it to be the most interesting where you're like, what are you living out through your children?
Yeah.
In a sick, fucked up way.
The weirdest thing about this is 8 and 9-year-olds, and these kids would have fucked up the kids that I played with.
Yeah,
I mean, they're running so many fucking plays.
They treat it like no practice.
Our big play was off tackle.
Yeah. Who doesn't remember off tackle?
Yeah.
And if you got fancy, they taught you what gaps were.
Yeah.
Where they're like 24 off tackle, and you're like, well, that's the right side.
Yeah.
I'll just go to that side. You know, I read an article in Rolling Stone about all the head injuries that are starting to come out with football. And they're saying these 8 and 9-year-olds are hitting each other with the same velocity that college D1 athletes are hitting each other. They're saying that the impact of these two kids hitting, you might as well be two D1 athletes just smashing into each other.
Well, I also remember at that age that they had done a piss poor job of fitting our helmets. So you would really rattle around inside that fucking helmet.
And your face mask was about 4 feet away from your face. And you get little fists. And, like, you learned about a fumble real quick when I could just have hands come in my face.
But the funny thing is the coaches, they in their heads when they're on the show, you see that they're locked in as if they were coaching older kids.
It's sad.
They could not be more serious about this.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, you're like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
These are children.
There's something mentally wrong with you.
I don't really. You're gonna bust their ass about running a soft cover too? They're 9. They don't even know what their penises do yet.
Yes, their penises haven't been used for anything fun.
They haven't even turned on, like the factory, that part of the factory hasn't even been opened yet.
Right.
And you're like, God damn it, if we run a heavy wolf blitz on the left side, I need you collapsing, even if it's a crack block. And you're like, I think Santa's a real guy.
Yeah.
They just fucking, I'm so excited for the show now.
Last night they did the bringing everybody back and how did you deal with the firestorm? Because I'm going to give you a spoiler alert here. Yeah. 2 of the coaches are suspended from the league.
What?
Yeah.
Even at the beginning of the season, guys are coming off suspensions, like entire teams for cheating. What?
Yeah.
Oh man, you guys are really doing a good job of building the show up.
Well, they're going out of their way because this is Texas, it's San Antonio. So they're going out of their way to, making sure some of the kids are in their district that may or may not belong there. And this one kid, and down there we played like weight leagues, 65, 75.
Do you have the patches?
Yeah. They play age down there. So you could be 9, and there's an offensive lineman that's got to be 125, 130 pounds at 9.
That's a 300-pounder if you're an adult.
And his father said that he had the kid in the mall when he was 3, and people were coming over going, listen, you're going to want to play ball with him in a couple of years. Here's my card. Get in touch with us. We can make things happen. That fat boy's going to go places.
Hey, I noticed your kid's a lump of shit. How do you feel about him playing guard for my little terrors team? It's the toddlers and tiaras for boys.
It is exactly that.
That's what it is.
100% that, where the parents want something that is the odds. It's almost like saying, I want my kid to hit the lottery. What do I got to do?
Or it's even more saying, like, I'm willing to sacrifice my child's mental and physical health so that I can have a little bit of fame that I never got.
Well, I think the worst thing about aging is going, I could have done things differently. So now I'm going to take this little me and make it happen.
You see that with children whose parents put them in sports, and you see that with women who realize they're losing their looks too late. Like when they're in the early 40s and they're still bitches, and you're like, hey, you can't be, you're not hot anymore.
Right. Stop trying to fuck your daughter's boyfriend. It's just, it's not where you need to be. Dan Soder sitting in with us. Last time I saw you was that Voss and
the
Bonnie
live
show. You came in and crushed it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was the live My Wife Hates Me, and that was awesome, dude. You being the relationship therapist was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun down there.
Bonnie and Rich make me laugh so hard.
Well, they're really good. You don't want to say this to them. They're so good together.
You're jealous of their love.
Yeah, that you're going like, do you guys think you should even be out working separately? Because you want to just keep working on this thing.
You know what's really weird? You think about that. In this day and age in comedy, there's not a husband-wife duo, and you look at those two and you go, you would do it and no one would think it'd be hacky. Everyone would be on board with it if you were on stage at the same time, because they play off each other so fucking well.
They don't even need material. No. They have enough pent-up things that they're frustrated about.
But you look at the Stillers, you look at like all these great comedic teams back in the day, husband and wife teams, and that doesn't exist anymore, and it should exist with Rich and Bonnie.
Burns and Allen were so gigantic, and the great thing about them was he wrote both sides.
Yeah.
She was just basically an actress.
Whoa. And
he used to sit there as people would come over after the show, like agents, going, you're the funny one. Let's get you away from your husband.
Yeah. See, and in that case, I hope it'd be Bonnie writing for Richard Bonnie. But yeah, that was a real fun night, and that was hilarious, man, watching you guys.
I actually know a friend of mine has been asking about you.
Oh.
I don't know whether she's in South America now. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, then maybe she's just got a thing for you from afar.
Oh, I appreciate it. I like knowing that people in South America.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
My girlfriend will love to know that too.
Yeah, let's keep this between us, all right?
Yeah, I'm going to Brazil for a show.
That's exactly where she is.
I'm going to be in
exactly the place.
I'm doing a one-nighter for the World Cup.
When is the World Cup?
This year.
70 days.
Oh, shit, you're a fan.
You know,
70 days.
Well, coming in, not into this show, but is going to do something in Town Hall. Pele is going to be there.
That's pretty nice.
I saw it. Yeah, there's posters up in the lobby.
Yeah, Sam Jackson was here earlier.
What?
Yeah, you missed him this morning.
Oh, man, I love Sam Jackson. Never got into soccer. World Cup I get into.
Yeah, I like country against country no matter what the sport is.
It's amazing. You know, that's what boxing's turning into.
Right.
And we got Floyd Mayweather. We got the best one. My roommate explained that because I love boxing, and it's hard to root for Floyd Mayweather sometimes. But he's like, he's an American. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of like that.
You got to leave it right there. He's an American. The thing with him, you just wish he would fight more. Like, you forget.
He's so good.
Like a year, 15 months go by, and you go like this. Oh, yeah, there's boxing. I forgot all about it.
There's the one guy.
I forgot about it.
Boxing's just that one guy.
It's almost like this is the way boxing is. Imagine the Super Bowl if that was the only game of the year. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the Super Bowl again.
I hope it's a good game. Now it's a blowout again because this team always wins.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, cool. I'll wait till next year.
But I tell you, I have never been to any sporting event anywhere that compares to a heavyweight championship fight.
I'm jealous.
I saw Tyson.
I mean, come on, you win. There's no one's gonna.
I'm going to even beat it. The night he bit off the ear.
You saw Holyfield Tyson?
Yeah,
too?
I was there. Yeah. And
June 24th, 1996.
As that was starting off, the excitement level was so gigantic that I was surprised people weren't just throwing up. It just felt like it. And it was hard for people to not hit each other.
If there was like an airplane movie about boxing, that probably would happen. People puking in buckets.
It was almost at that point where you were just like, can't stand this. Then seconds away. I just wanted to run out of there. And when they stopped it earlier, people in the audience just started punching each other and going crazy. And we went into back into the casino. And people were just turning over tables and fucking shooting pops off, and everybody in the city went fucking nuts.
Yeah, because
it was insane.
That was like it was like collectively everyone got a hooker and didn't come.
Right, it's exactly what happened. Like that's the perfect thing.
Like everyone got kicked out of their hotel room right before they came, and they're like, "I'm gonna flip shit."
Yeah,
fuck all this.
So you went from you almost came to I'm gonna kill this fucking hooker. That's exactly what happened.
Choke this bitch in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I get that excited every year I go to FDNY versus NYPD boxing, and it's awesome
because they secretly hate each other. They say it's a good spirit and all, but
best part is the theater at the Garden is split in two. And the shit talking between the two sides, dude, first off, there was a little bit of a hustle because the NYPD was using correctional officers on their team.
That sucks.
And it's like this little Italian guy from the Bronx who's like, he's in ladder 123, give it up for the Bulldog. And he's like, yeah. And then they're like, and from Rikers Island, give it up for Jerome Stevens. And it's like this 7-foot black dude who's like, I think that guy's in there for murder. And they just beat the shit out of the firefighter. And you're like, that's not even a real fight. And then the NYPD starts talking shit. It was great. I loved it. I go every year.
Now, how many did they go through every weight class?
You don't even know if it's a weight class.
Right.
You just know, like, you're just like, and then you're sitting, like I sat on the FDNY side, and so you just know, you hear groups of families and friends. They're like, Dino's next. Dino's going to fight next. You're like, all right, I'm on Dino's side. And then Dino gets knocked out, and you're like, sorry about Dino getting dropped by that giant. It's so fun because there's like 14 fights. So they do, like, it's all night.
Right.
And you see people get real riled up by the end when the booze has been flowing.
Yeah. Chris, whose side, without even knowing, cops or firemen?
Well, firemen. I'm not going to be on the cop side.
See, that's the problem. See, I don't want this to be an anti-cop thing.
No, it's not an anti-cop thing. Truth be told, cops throw haymakers.
Sure.
Like the firefighters would get in there and throw 1-2-1s and bob and weave, and then you get the NYPD and they're just throwing the kitchen sink, just throwing these blows, and they connect, and you're like, Jesus.
Well, they all come in like, no matter what you do when you're a cop, you come in as a bouncer. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm a big guy. What could I do? Maybe I'll be a cop.
It's a pension.
Yeah,
right.
I'll take weed off 17-year-old Puerto Rican kids.
Yeah.
Well, just knock them around a little bit. Yeah, it's if you live in the New York City area, go to the FDNY NYPD boxing matches every year.
Dan Soder's here with us in studio. Comedy on State, Madison, Wisconsin. He'll be performing there this Thursday through Saturday. Then going to the Moon Tower Comedy Festival.
It's Moon Tower, y'all.
Moon Tower barbecue, bud, and jokes.
That's April 23rd through the 26th in Austin, Texas.
That's going to be a big time all the way around. That thing's getting really huge, too, the Moon Tower.
Every comedian I've talked to, I haven't done it yet, every comedian I've talked to says it's their favorite festival.
Yeah.
They say it's really a comics festival. No industry, no nothing, no frills, just good shows.
Not only that, but it's a great thing for fans because, first of all, you could go there and you're in Austin and that's party and it's fun and there's great barbecue and all that. But you can buy a pass so you get into more than one show. Yeah. So it's really like, that old school Comic-Con where you can see everybody at the same time.
You can go, and plus it's 5 days, so it's not like one of these things where it's just 2 days and you're like, well, I can't see this person's set because I'm going to go see this person's set. You're like, I'll go catch this person on Saturday because I'm going to see this person on Wednesday. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to going, and I'm really looking forward to being at Comedy on State in Madison because I've heard phenomenal things about that from everybody.
Well, Madison's one of the real fun.
I'm worried about the Final Four though.
Are you really?
Yeah, they're in the Final Four.
And you take that as a negative because they're going to win it all. Their coach from Chester, PA.
Oh, there you go. I went to Arizona, so I was a little bummed out they beat us in the Elite Eight. But I'm afraid that, people aren't going to go to the show. But it's only one night is the game. So it's
well,
really...
you just fucking put the game on and just sit there and talk about it when it's on.
Do a little Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I think it would be fucking great.
Let's see if they go for it.
I thought you were going to say you were worried if they lost, they'd riot throughout Madison.
No, I'll
like
riot.
the Arizona fans.
Yeah, I mean, but if you live in Tucson, you should be rioting every week.
They took the video down of the girl who got punched in the face.
In Tucson?
She got dropped.
She got dropped and she was doing nothing. It was right after the game, I guess, on the campus.
Yeah.
And
I know I'm an alumni, but I can talk shit about that school.
Right.
And there is a percentage of the student population that sucks, and there's a reason I'm a comedian and I worked in radio, and it was because of that population of the student body.
What is so awful about them in Arizona?
They're future young finance guys. That's what you're dealing with. A lot of coke, a lot of sandals, a lot of vodka. That's not who I am. I'm jeans, sneakers, and weed, and it was really hard for me to get along with people that are like, "What's up, bro?"
Right.
What's up, bro? You want to go to the bar and spend my dad's money? Like, dude, my dad died of cirrhosis. I don't have any of his money to spend.
Why would you bring my dad?
Yeah, why you got to bring dads up, dude?
See, I always think you brought up, I think you couldn't look more like an alcoholic than if you have a cocktail and you're wearing flip-flops. I think that's the premier thing.
I used to do a joke about my dad dying of alcoholism, and I said in the joke, I was like, when I tell people my dad died of alcoholism, they're always like, "Oh my God, did he spend your food money on hooch?" I'm like, no, he's a Jimmy Buffett fan. It was awesome.
Right.
He wore corduroy shorts and sandals and just drank a lot of rum.
See, even before, when I drank, that thing, like if you came in and your table isn't ready and you have to stand at the bar, I think if you carry your drink from the bar to your table, I'd rather sit there and slam it than I would carry it across the room like, I'm Dudley Moore. You know what I mean? It's Arthur. You just look like like you can't be without a cocktail.
I can't let this leave my... Like you're doing a Dean Martin. You're like, hey, how you doing? Walking by grilling tables. Yeah, my buddy had a good point. This is when I realized I had a drinking problem, was when my buddy were drinking beers and he goes, "You want to know the difference between me and you? I can walk away from that beer." And I go, "If you walked away from that beer, I would drink it." And he was like, "Yeah, you should probably quit drinking."
That is a big difference.
Yeah, because I'm like, I just want it all. Like I couldn't leave a place without finishing a drink.
Or get to sleep knowing that you still had alcohol in the house. I laugh at people who have a bar in their house and they're not thinking about it. Yeah, you drink every night. You would never have a bar.
Well, yeah, I have a cocktail at the end of the night. Sure, yeah. Treat myself. It's a long day.
Why would you go to sleep if he's had all this whiskey?
Yeah, you got all that partying to do. Yeah. I came home from the airport one time after a gig when I was still drinking, and I had a couple beers in the airport bar. Actually, I was flying from Chicago back here, and my flight got delayed in Chicago, so I kind of got lit up at the airport. And then I flew home, quick flight, come home, immediately pour a shot of chilled vodka from our freezer right when I got in because I knew we had it. My roommate was like, "Oh my God." Just started banging back shots of cold vodka. And I was like, "I'm going to go out and have some more." He's like, "Yeah, of course you are. You're a fucking animal."
I think you brought up a point, though, that's interesting, that you can have drinks in the bar before the plane takes off, but you can't get off your plane and walk into a bar. That looks like, what is wrong with you?
Happened on that flight.
What is wrong with you?
I've done that a couple of times, and that's the one where you're like, "Oh, I'm a piece of shit." I walked off a flight and did a shot of Jägermeister one time.
Everyone else is getting their luggage, kissing loved ones.
Hugging a grandma.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Hey, what do you guys got on tap?" "All right, I'll do that as a back."
They'll hold my bag down there, won't they? It's only been 4 hours.
I figure I got 4 little twirls on the little cycle before I can come back.
The other thing, too, is like... when you're in one of those corporate bars like that, to all act like you're watching the game and bonding over that and not the alcohol.
Yeah. There's a place in DIA in Denver's International Airport where you could smoke cigarettes in the bar, and you would have thought I was a lifelong Steeler fan.
Sure.
No way. I was drinking and smoking watching the Steelers-Ravens game. I'm like, "Can you believe Roethlisberger?" And they're like, "Who are you a fan of?" "Niners." I'm going to miss my flight, too. I'm just getting fucking hammered.
You're just with the home team. Yay!
You know how many people I met that I bonded with in airport bars that if they walked up to me today, I'd be like, "I don't know who you are."
But you hugged them when you went away.
Oh, I remember this tile salesman from Carolina. And we had a layover in St. Louis, and we were so drunk. And he's like, "I'm gonna look out for you. I'm gonna follow your career." And I was like, "You know what? I respect the work you do. I think shingling's a tough thing to do." He's like, "Yeah, well, my wife doesn't think so." And I'm like, "You tell Judy she's being a little bit of a bitch." Yeah, it was God.
Now, if he
drinking.
came in and sat next to you, no idea.
Wouldn't fucking know him from a can of paint.
We got an Arizona call for you. Here's Cooch. Cooch, how you doing, dude?
I'm great, buddies. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, there's 2 centralized locations in Arizona where you can find the douchebags. There's dirtbags and there's frog.
Yeah.
When those 2 things spill out into the street, it's terrible. But when they stay where they should be, it's fine. But yeah, I totally agree, man.
You know what sucks though, man? Frog and Firkin is so much fun to drink out on that patio. Like that, like to have beers and have that barbecue chicken pizza. It's a place right on University. It's awesome.
Yeah, but Chovy's is right next door and twice as better.
Yeah, you know what? You got me there. I almost got into, I got robbed when I was in college because my roommate was a drug dealer. And the kid that set us up, I ran into him at this bar that this guy's talking about called Dirtbags. And I walked up and I was like, "Hey, you set us up to get robbed." And this kid was a real piece of shit. One of the kind of kids I'm exploiting, like, you know, real daddy's money. And he's like, "Oh, you want to go outside?" And I'm like, "All right, yeah, finally. We'll get this thing settled." And I walk outside right in front of Dirtbags, and he looks at the bouncer. He goes, "This guy has a knife, and he's going to stab me." And the bouncer's fucking jumped on me. And I was like, "You pussy. You asked me to go outside to fight you, and then you told bouncers I had a knife."
But that guy's going to go far in life. I can see it. He's going to do well in the corporate world.
I think he's probably running Merrill Lynch at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. That guy's Cooch is right. There are 2 centralized locations. And,
They're all either from Orange County or Chicago.
Or Long Island. A lot of Long Island trash out there.
Well, they end up everywhere. They end up everywhere.
Yeah, that was the school at Arizona way different than I thought it was going to be.
Chris, who are you yelling at there? I saw you yelling over there.
Oh, no, there's someone in, Mike Lawrence is here.
Hey, Mike Lawrence?
Yeah, he just got here and he's just in reception.
I like Mike Lawrence.
When we break and come back with him.
Yep.
You want to hang out, Dan?
Yeah, I'd love to. I love Mike Lawrence.
Dan Soder and Mike Lawrence. Up next, it's the Ron and Fez Show.
Ron and Fez on Raw Dog.
Raw Dog, Sirius XM.
Comedy Hits. Channel 99. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron and Fez on Raw Dog.
Sirius XM.
Comedy Hits. Channel 99. Bass.
So we got and we're trying to figure out why we now have lyrics on our rejoinder music. Any reason, Chubbs? You got to talk into the mic, son.
No specific reason.
All right. It's the Ron and Fez Show, 866 Ron Zero Fez, 866 Ron Zero Fez. I run a loose ship, but then I'm pissed about it. That's the beauty of me.
You're like the greatest foreman I've ever seen in my life. Like, what'd you do with those bolts? No? All right, yeah, I get it. No, they went up. Door went up.
You fire someone for not showing their ass crack.
Fez Watley.
Mike Lawrence is in studio with us. Him, along with Dan Soder, are here too. Both appearing at the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, April 23rd through the 26th in Austin, Texas.
Moon Tower, y'all. Party at the Moon Tower.
Oh, yeah.
Lawrence and I are going to be hanging in Texas.
No,
we'll be at the Hotel TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
How do you...
And I'll bring my Xbox. We'll be playing WWE 2K14.
How do you figure out who's doing which gig when you get down there and there's just gigs all over town?
I think they give you a schedule.
Yeah.
We're zoo animals.
But somebody else makes
Someone asked that question once and then got paid to answer it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they just give you a schedule.
Yeah. It's already out.
Yeah.
It's already done. Just go where you're told.
That's all we do.
Yeah.
Be a good little soldier.
Yeah, it really is like joining the military. Go get your shots. Then you go up later.
Yeah, it's a way more fun military.
Yeah.
It's a lot of...
This is my wife, Mary Frances. She's the reason I tell these dick jokes. That's what's worth fighting for.
First thing I'm going to do when I get...
That's always the shot, comes right after that.
He got heckled, couldn't rebound.
See, I got a little girl back there in the Bronx. She's waiting for me now.
Yeah.
He died so my floppy pussy jokes could live.
You know what it's like being stuck 2 clicks southeast of Kansas City. Hecklers coming at you from every goddamn way.
So, it's platoon, basically.
It's just an old man in the back, and he's like, did someone say bachelorette party? Never forget. Listening to Credence.
I see a fake tiara spin into a dark, deep place. I was walking, I did a gig actually in Kansas City, and there was a bachelorette party. And after the end of the show, we were walking to the MC's car in this empty mall parking lot. And all of a sudden, like a zombie attack, you just saw pink shirts start coming out of the mall.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, no, I hope they don't see us. And then you just hear from across the parking lot, that's the comedian! And you're like, no!
Someone decided to feed them after midnight. There was originally 2 bachelorettes, and then it just reproduced.
They're like gremlins. You just see a bunch of penis helmets marching towards you.
The first one was just a girl named Gizmo, and then they threw water on her, and they multiplied.
Yeah, and they're always the same blonde hair job.
Oh, God. The best is when there's an amazing bachelorette party, because you know that like, as a comic book fan, I just love anything that's rare. You know? It's like, this is a special edition bachelorette audience. I better keep this one.
Who did this? This Frank Miller? Oh.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going over your schedules now. Dan, you're going to be doing Double Barrel.
Oh, boy.
Rogues Gallery. And Comedy Jackpots.
Hey, that sounds...
No, you weren't aware of any of these things.
No, but it sounds like an evening of very, I don't know, fun
Isn't
times?
it funny how after like the third name you realize the exact life you're living? What have I become?
How is your career going? I did Double Barrel.
Now, Mike, you're going to be
these
doing...
all sound like places Johnny Cash slapped a whore.
Yeah, that's nice.
A lot of things happen at the Rogues Gallery.
Mike is doing the Four-Eyed group of comedians with glasses. Comedians with glasses. And that's hosted with Bobby Slayton, who I don't think wears glasses.
Well, you know these fucking nerds that take it over.
I don't understand.
People of comedy.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a package coming in from Mitchell Walters right now. Really, on a lot of a fucking strain.
Why were you in 88? I'll tell you where I was in 88.
I have a great Bobby Slayton story. I did the Nasty shows with him in Montreal a couple years ago, and he was hosting, and there was a large black man and an even larger white woman. Just imagine any Maury audience, and he makes fun of the black guy for 10 minutes, like the most racist, like everything Danny Aiello said in that pizza shop, and do the right thing. Just the worst. And he never said anything about her. And he gets off stage, and I was like, Bobby, I noticed that you made fun of him the whole time, but you never made fun of her. And he just looks at me and goes, what do you think I am, a fucking monster?
That's great. Like, no, I do.
I've been trying to get a hold of you, too, about that other thing. Sorry, hasn't worked out.
So She'll always be black. It's her fault she's fat. Like, that's what it is. Like, oh, yeah, it makes sense.
He's hosting the Night of Comedians with Glasses.
Yep.
Which I never thought was a subgenre of comedy.
I didn't know it was either.
Yeah.
I didn't know that a bad eyesight led you to a certain type of comedy.
Now I'm wondering who's the most famous comedian with glasses?
Woody Allen.
God damn it, that was easy for you. We could have spent just hours just kicking it back and forth.
I just swatted it.
I was going to have Drew Carey.
I am
and
not
then he just
good.
says, who is innocent but people think are guilty, and then he says the same answer. Yikes.
No, I immediately go OJ. I'm like, OJ, he did nothing. This keeps my black friends around.
Do you think Nicole Goldman's family watches those Naked Gun movies and smiles every time he gets hurt?
They only watch those scenes.
Yeah.
That's the only justice they get is him being pushed down the highway.
I imagine if I'm a member of the Goldman family, I'm the most offended by the Kardashian success because that's the guy that got him off for murder, and now their kids are haunting your here. Your kids are gone, and their kids are just everywhere you turn on the TV.
But both the father and daughter got famous for getting people off. So
That's true.
like daughter.
Humming.
Kim is now hiding her money in her ass. That's her little. I found. If you break into the place, go there first.
That's her. Yeah, it's a missile bunker. That's where she's gonna hide people in there if the fucking nuke drops.
No, you guys are getting together for WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, WrestleMania 30.
The showcase of the immortals for guys who die in their 30s.
Right. Are you worried that the cops will kick in the door and say you're full-grown men watching this? This is.
I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm afraid the cops are gonna get in and go. There's too much pussy in here.
Yeah. It's not just the two of you. There's a full party going on.
It's a group of 10 dudes?
Yeah, you could just Google up any headshot of me and it looks like my ringtone is an Amber Alert. So I realized I saw the Lego Movie by myself because I knows who I am. And I mean, I fucking love wrestling. It's the best. Because I can't really listen to comedy podcasts that much. I think I'm in too deep. But I listen to wrestling podcasts all the time because it's kind of the same but different enough.
Here's the thing I love about wrestling. We live in this age where it's like everything is criticized for every small part. So you put out like a movie and everyone's like, I didn't like it because of this, this, and this. Wrestling's the only thing we're like, it's ridiculous, and we can just argue about it because it's just ridiculous. Like the Daniel Bryan thing, you can just sit there and go, no, he should get a title match. And then everyone's like, fuck you. And you're like, let's just keep arguing because it's fun. But like you argue about like a book or something and you're like, well, you're just trying to argue about it. I feel like
everyone likes to play Booker and think that you could run that company so much better than Vince McMahon. It's almost like a fantasy league.
But see, I think that worked better when you had the two leagues.
When you have
now there's no defining it. You either do it Vince's way or that's it. Go fight in a bar.
My question is, what do you think it would be like today had Vince not broken up the territories? Would it already have been broken up?
No, it would have had to have become global and connected because everything else did.
Yeah, because of the internet and cable TV.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at
he just saw it before anyone else.
The same time he was doing that, Holiday Inns, the McDonald's were doing it. I mean, it was just a business plan,
franchising.
More than it was a love of the sport.
I mean, how brilliant was if you watch that '80s stuff, you realize every single guy there, from Hulk Hogan to SD Jones, was a headliner somewhere. Yeah. They were all headliners.
Yeah.
The guy in the first match and the guy in the last match had all been the head of a territory.
But here's the weird thing. Vince used to bring them in and act like they had no past whatsoever.
I love
that. Was the
Flair
brilliant
would
way to
come
do
in
it.
and what they called him, the champion or something.
They'd black out. They'd black out
when he's
the
talking
belt.
about fucking Elizabeth, it's the best. I got these pictures of her right in Space Mountain.
Those Photoshop pictures.
Ric Flair to me is the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. A very merry birthday to you.
I didn't know what Photoshop was, so I just assumed those pictures were real. and then they're like, hey, those are doctored. And I'm like, what does that mean?
What did Randy Savage say about those pictures?
He was like, yeah, I could do a lot better job now. Yeah, I got the Photoshop on my phone. Yeah. Doing my new character, Big J, and I can't stop doing it. And I did it a little on the Not Sam After Show, but it's Macho Man getting subtly racist about people moving in. He's like, first, first they hike up the rent, and you start looking around and you notice, a lot more people in the streets, a lot of undesirables, Next thing you know, crime's at an all-time high. They need to stay in their own neighborhoods,
What they will do is bury the property values. Williamsburg shall rest in peace.
I watched that Kane video that St. Germain set out about 4 times yesterday.
Fat Republican pallbearer was
it was the best.
Because he was originally just like a mortician, and then he just becomes a fat Republican like in the late 80s. We've got to do something about this Medicare.
Who was he first, Fez? What was his name?
Percy Pringle III.
That's what he was down in Florida?
In Florida, and then out with the Von Erichs in Texas.
You guys are Florida guys, right? Yeah, me too.
Where at?
South Florida, Fort Lauderdale.
Well, Lauderdale, you're missing there's a comedy festival down there right now.
South Beach.
Yeah, Gurion just called us with Obama. I don't know, it was 30 minutes ago, but you got out there just to do comedy?
Yeah, I grew up there. I worked at a McDonald's for 7.5 years. I lived in a trailer park. My mom was a stand-up comic, and I lived there until I was 23, and I moved here.
Damn, you're a Tom Waits song.
Yeah.
Will I see you tonight at the Mickey D's?
Shutting down the French fryer. Letting mom know she got a new joke.
I literally, like, at this point when I talk about my life, I just do it in the rapid fire origin story. Bit by radioactive spider, dead uncle. Power, responsibility, redhead supermodel. I fuck sometimes. And then I moved here. I met Dan the first week I was in New York.
Yeah, it was my first week in New York too.
At the New York Comedy Club open mic at 5 p.m. on Mondays. The place where dreams die or miscarry.
Yeah.
Now, this was the first gay experience for both of you guys?
Yeah, that was the first time we've ever tugged another man off.
Just being in the big city together?
We just hugged each other. We just hugged each other and told each other our favorite fat wrestler. I was like, Kamala, and he was like, Yokozuna.
I was like, one-man gang. Good choice. Thank you.
I think it was the one-man gangbang.
And I'm going to go Tugboat.
Tugboat? You're going to go? By the way.
The Shockmaster.
I got, and Typhoon.
Yeah.
And I found my favorite wrestling promo of all time. 91 SummerSlam, Legion of Doom, Hawks promo is my favorite thing ever. I don't think I can find a promo that gets me as excited as Hawks from SummerSlam 91.
What did he do?
The match was Bushwhackers versus Natural Disasters with Andre in their corner, and Andre was in a real bad way. He had the hand crutches, and he kept having to act like he'd be like, the Bushwhackers, they're gonna come for you, and then they did a thing where Typhoon and Earthquake demolish the Bushwhackers and then start walking around the ring towards Andre, and then LOD comes out and stops them. So later in the pay-per-view, they're trying to cut a promo about the Nasty Boys, but they just talk about the Natural Disasters, and Hawk does his Minnesota. You forget Hawk's from Minnesota, but he does the Animal does the "Tell 'em Hawk." He goes, "Well, it seems to me that the Natural Disasters just bit off a little more than they can chew," and then he just goes through this cocaine-fueled rant.
Rumble 92, there's a great one where Hawk's talking about the natural disasters, and then, like, we seem like we got two fellas that want to throw their weight around, don't you know? Well, we like doing that too.
Yeah, well, he's got the greatest line because he somehow comes back in SummerSlam 91 to the Nasty Boys, and he's like, "Nasty Boys, when we're done with you, you're going to be the Patsy Boys." He goes, "Because there's boys, there's men, and there's monsters." What a run! And it's like, I showed it to this other comic in San Francisco. He's like, "That's the fucking shit." I was like, "Yeah, it's the greatest."
What if he was like, "There's boys, there's men, and there's boys to men," which is my Motown Philly back again.
I will make love to you. You're gonna be at the end of the road.
Dan Soder's here in studio with us. Comedy on State in Madison, Wisconsin. That's this Thursday through Saturday. Then appearing at the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, April 23rd and 26th. Mike Lawrence is here, also going to be at the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, and he's got his podcast, Nerd of Mouth, on cavecomedyradio.com.
See, I'm going to, since you brought up the Bushwhackers, I'm going to fuck with you with this.
Yeah.
We used to know them when they had a bar/restaurant, and you could go over and hang with them, and then they always used to come by in the morning with food for me, like, "Ron, we really got to push this." You know, they would just have coolers, like, it's not working as good as I thought it was going to. They really thought they were going to parlay this
We
thing.
really thought Luke's wings were going to take off.
It really is weird talking.
What's that?
What was the name of it?
Bushwhacker Steakhouse.
Yeah, Bushwhackers.
It's weird talking to Ron and not seeing you with rubber bands on the side of your head. You have a very Albano-esque.
Yeah, you're like Captain Lou.
Yeah, I am the Captain Lou of radio.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Can you just start yelling at whiny girls from Queens?
So these guys, when wrestling was come to town, everybody would go there and eat and drink for free during the short time that they had that place.
That's the worst idea.
Yeah.
I went there one night. I was there in the private dining room. All the WWF superstars at the time are in there. Stone Cold had just done the Stone Cold gimmick. You know, he was there. at a table with his wife by themselves, everyone else eating in really long tables, and just being harassed by the other wrestlers.
Stone Cold was.
Comes in, people are screaming, "Hey, Baldy! Hey, Baldy!" They start throwing French fries and baked potatoes at him.
Holy shit!
Across the dining room, Stone Cold doesn't lift his eyes up from his meal. Just sits there and takes it. Doesn't say a word.
Rattlesnake would like to sit here and eat quietly if people would stop throwing shit at me. I don't mind it. My favorite interview is he keeps kayfabe alive when he interviews Bret Hart, and it makes me laugh. I go back and listen to it. Because he's like, Bret, you were growing up. You heard men down in the dungeon getting stretched out. And you're like, I don't think that really was a real thing.
You talk about your mozzarella sticks and your jalapeno poppers. Austin 316 says, I just finished my abs.
And then him and the missus just kind of slinked out of the place.
And that was it.
That was it.
Before he got big, right?
Yeah, he had just, done...
Was this over the $1 million thing? Was he done being the $1 million?
The ringmaster?
Yeah, he was done being the ringmaster and the $1 million champion.
And that kind of... Did that tube for him? That
totally tubed, yeah. And they went with this whole Stone Cold thing at King of the Ring.
Yeah, I remember that.
Against Jake Roberts, who is in the Hall of Fame this year if he makes it to Sunday Alive.
And Paul Bearer.
Is he bad still?
Goes in this year.
No, he cleaned up. Yeah.
He's recancered.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That sucks.
There are some snakes that you can't get rid of in the jungle. He's the best ever.
He never got a belt.
So.
The fact that he never got a belt is...
He shouldn't have. He didn't need it.
He didn't
Some
want
guys,
one,
the thing is, like, that's how great that era was, that there was like 12 guys who could be champions now and would be and weren't, and he was his own feuds.
Well, Jake was always very relaxed in the ring. There was not a lot of
lay down in the corner.
He'd sit in the corner.
He'd sit in the corner, and even his finishing move was like, let's just relax for a while.
Hey, you want to take a nap together?
Did you ever see I think it's the greatest wrestling promo of all time when he slaps Elizabeth.
Oh, man.
And he afterwards, I think Mean Gene is there, and he goes, I would pay to do that again. And he goes, I could take her and cultivate her into something even I could want. Holy.
And then you see Beyond the Mat, and you're like, no, he really meant that.
That his father was a wrestler who raped a 13-year-old girl. He's like, I was born into this world without love, and I still haven't found it.
Yeah, well, then his dad goes, yeah, I love him. I still do love him. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Grizzly Smith.
Yeah.
That's who it was?
That's his dad, Grizzly Smith, the wrestler.
That's like worse than the Karl Malone thing.
And his sister was a wrestler, too, Rockin' Robin.
I did not know that.
And his brother.
Yeah, Sam Houston. Yeah,
the whole family wrestled.
I didn't know that Rockin' Robin, one of the, she won the title of WrestleMania 1. Right?
Yeah, she was the one.
No, that was Wendy Richter.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was Rockin' Robin exactly?
She, I think she finally won the title, but that was after like Moolah had dropped it.
Wendy Richter was the original screw job against Moolah as the Spider Lady that she didn't want to lose, and they rang the bell early.
That can't be it, is it?
Is that Rockin' Robin?
This is Rockin' Robin.
Yeah,
she looks like Jake.
Yeah.
I look like Jake in a onesie.
It's the same mullet haircut.
She is not rocking at all.
Fez changed that to we all had. Let's not act like they were weird.
A snake.
I meant the Smith Roberts family.
A snake can change its genitals, but it's still a snake.
Right now she looks at like a lady that works at a tow yard.
She looks like
I need to see your driver's license and proof of ownership.
She looks like if 1985 was a person. Like the inside of her vagina flaps just say no on them.
Or if hepatitis was a person.
In 1985.
Yeah.
So do you guys care as much about the wrestling that you're going to be seeing this Sunday? Do you care?
Here's the way I look at it. I am somewhat, I watch every WrestleMania, but that's about it. And I'll watch Raw. I record Raw and I'll watch it. Mm-hmm. But I'm not I think you're much more of a devoted.
You know what? I can listen to people talk about wrestling forever, but I can only watch it so much. Like, I love the culture of it more than the actual matches. The promos are my favorite part.
Yeah,
but I'm excited. I mean, the main guy is a fucking bearded dude that no one thought would succeed, so I have a little emotional attachment.
There's that nerd thing that you have.
The storyline that they have going right now for any comedian resonates so deeply and so beautifully. Triple H is basically the club booker who gives you the mean email after you send avails. And it's you want to see that guy get his ass kicked, where he literally went on TV and said, Daniel Bryan is a B+ player and doesn't deserve to be a star. Like, that's fucking, like,
that's great.
Yeah, and he means it.
And you hear that, and you're right. Being a comedian, that is so, everyone in the industry, it's like, we think you're funny. We like you. We just don't think this is it for you.
Oh yeah, I mean, the way that I've been rejected for, it's amazing. I literally less than a year ago, I had someone tell me that as long as I look like I do, I will never be on TV.
Yeah.
The month after I film my Comedy Central half hour. You know what I mean? And it's like if you asked her what a podcast was, she wouldn't know. But there's like these people who are so behind, and I'm not bragging or anything, but it's like, and I'll tell you, like, if she ever sees me on TV, I'll be so fucking happy. Like, there is that, like, to see those people, prove them wrong,
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely what this Daniel Bryan storyline is.
Every comic has had someone say, you're not going to make it.
And I think we have those even, I think that's a constant thing. I don't think that's a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, see,
it's usually your agent or manager.
Yeah.
Normally, if
your agent even calls you.
Even if you tell everyone they're not going to make it, you're normally right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not going to make it. I mean, just like if you set out and told people as they're going to buy their lottery tickets, you ain't going to hit. It ain't going to happen for you.
The thing, I used to be mean at open mics, and I think to myself,
you were a special kind of mean. I'm glad I was friends with you the whole time.
Yeah, creatively. But the thing is, I look back on it and I was like, I got it right 99% of the time. And you know what? But there was people that proved me wrong and were funnier than I thought, and I was fucking wrong, and I was an asshole.
Right.
And I try not to be as mean anymore. But I mean, you never know. But like this Daniel Bryan guy, like I listened to a podcast with him. He worked at a Wendy's.
Yeah.
He worked at a KB toy store.
All right, we get it.
Yeah. He was on the road for like 12 years before being. I saw him.
I can never imagine you plumping up more to a wrestling storyline than the Daniel Bryan one.
I saw him in front of 400 people.
Yeah.
That's the real shit.
So you want to see him get over it this week? You want this to be his time in the sun?
It deserves to be. And
well, it's an 8-month storyline, which usually doesn't happen anymore in the WWE.
No.
They spent 8 months building this guy up.
It's really you can. If you really want to go back, you could say it's like a 3.5-year storylines, because he got fired like 3 months after joining the company. Then he loses at Mania 2. I would say the actual storyline starts 2 years ago when he lost to Sheamus in the opening match in 18 seconds. That's when it really, and that's when the yes chants really took off, because they gave us something that we didn't want.
Do you think CM Punk comes back this Sunday?
No. And I hope he doesn't. I'm glad that he left for himself. I think what he did is amazing, and I applaud him. As a wrestling fan and a performer, I feel very conflicted, because I know that this network is fucking over these guys financially, and I think CM Punk took a stand against that, and I applaud. As someone who I've protested the UCB and other places that don't pay. It's really, I feel conflicted giving WWE my money, because these guys are all going to get screwed with the buy rates and all that.
Yeah.
And they're just having to work harder. They're just making all this extra content.
I didn't even think about that.
I don't even think these dudes are getting compensated more for the work they're already doing.
That's how dumb of a consumer I am.
Well, it's a one company town now.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
They have no choice. And this guy left, and he has enough money to be set for life, and he doesn't need it. And people are like, "Oh, he owes the fans." No, he doesn't. And if he's hurt and if he's fatigued, then leave and have a good life.
That's a good point.
You know, but you got to look at performers as people sometimes.
Or not.
Yeah. But, you know, you guys both work in a thing where no one walks away. No one walks away from comedy. I can't think of one person.
My mom.
You know.
I saw a guy recently that did, that I knew when I first moved here. And he looked at me and he was like, hey. I was like, how you doing? He's like, I don't do it anymore. And I was like, okay, I don't really care. And he's like, it was like this weird conversation.
I meant to say successful people. No. I was looking up the CM Punk of comedy.
I don't think, you definitely can't do
mom.
That. No. But I think they, I think the people that do walk away from it that are successful have the success. The thing that bugs me the most is the people that are on something else successful and then just do stand up to make money. But you're like, please don't do that.
It's a public appearance that you don't have to work for. That's all. It's an easy way to, you know, make money for an hour and sell merch without that much effort. You know, no real physical labor.
But has anyone ever come out of that and done it well?
No.
Like you're like...
There's never been, like, Dustin Diamond isn't doing an HBO special.
You know how sad it is? I agree with you, but I'm like, but I want to open for these people. Like, that's comedy in a nutshell.
I hope this doesn't damage my relationship with them.
Hey, Dustin, I don't believe what that asshole says. No, I agree as Andre the Giant is good. It's like he was in the room, but no, fuck that guy.
then Dustin will go to Denny's after, and you can pick my brain for material.
Oh,
yeah.
God. To me, that's just like, that's like, when people do that, that's the equivalent of a professional athlete when he tries to get into wrestling.
I mean, there is...
Where you're like, hey, Rodman, don't. You're going to look stupid.
There is the thing about, you know, and it is that you can't not sound bitter when you're like paying dues, but paying dues does make you better. Having to start off at 2-minute open mics and then 5-minute ones and then 10-minute sets and then featuring and headlining and MC, like all of that stuff. Like if you just start off as a headliner with an audience already that's there to see you, I think it's really hard to develop a comedic voice.
Sure.
You know?
Because people are just there because they saw you in the shiny box and everyone's all excited.
He's got to be funny. He's on TV.
Yeah.
He's got to do this. You're like, no, he doesn't have the tools to fucking execute this.
Like comedy, it isn't the art of writing, it's the art of rewriting. You know? It's not about the funny thoughts you come up with, it's how you refine them, you know? And it's like, I don't know anyone who just... If you want comedy without refinement, go watch improv. You know what I mean? And it's there for you, and they're making shit up, and some of it's great. But
you're absolutely right. It's so funny. You can have a joke going that's okay for about 3 weeks, and then you find one little adjustment you make, and all of a sudden it's a fucking killer bit, and you're like, I didn't even know if I just adjusted it that much. But you're right, off the top of the head, you can say some funny shit, but
now everyone's doing the crowd work thing, and that's gaining again.
Yeah, but that's fine. I won't. That's a different pond.
Yeah, and some of that like Q&As, like that's so weird to me.
That's very strange.
If you pay to see a headliner and they do 20 minutes of Q&A just to fill the time, I mean, but
you didn't direct Avengers. I don't want to fucking talk to you about it.
And here's you need more than 20 minutes with Joss Whedon. But the thing is that once you like the industry. Like, if people get hot off certain things and the demand is there before the supply is ready, then, like, you're kind of at an impasse, you know?
Hey.
It's like if people are like, I want to give this guy money, even though that guy's a year in, like, you're just going to throw him out there. And some of those dudes do get better, and some of them really do take it seriously, and, you know?
But the ones that don't, you can tell. Because they're not the ones at the bar shows in Brooklyn on Wednesday where you're just trying to work out a new 5-minute chunk. You don't see them out there. You don't see them in the gym. You just see them. They're like, hey, Tuscaloosa State University, 7,000 kids come see me. And you're like, what are they going to see? They're going to see dog shit. That's what they're going to see.
Well, that's what they don't get. Like, Jim Gaffigan isn't, like, running around performing for 50 people a night because he thinks it's fun. It's because he knows his job is to do those theaters, and he wants to do them the best that he can.
Yeah, Louis doesn't pop in to have his ego stroked. Louis pops in to do a 10-minute set because he's got a new bit that he's got to, work out the wrinkles in it.
But according to Facebook, he pops in to have everyone else in the room's ego stroked.
You and me are the only two that Louis hasn't complimented. you just read on Facebook, you're like, God damn it, Louis, I guess I'm the only comic Louis doesn't like.
dedicate 2 rape jokes to me. I was in the hospital. He's like, I'll do it, slugger.
Mike Lawrence is in with us, and the Avengers shirt is the most off-putting color of orange I've ever seen in my life.
It's a Macho Madness color. Yeah, I wouldn't even use that in the headband.
You can tell the comic book shirt fits me because my stomach is kind of peeking out of it going, hello.
But that is the kind of orange that could set off mental patients. Where they're just starting to get crazy for no reason.
Well, oh my God, what's that shirt? And they just grab something sharp.
Orange is not the new black, I guess.
Yeah. You love comic books too.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm so pumped for Captain America 2.
Did you say it yet? Or
no, it comes out Friday.
Oh, okay.
You going Thursday night?
I probably will. Yeah, I did see. Have you seen The Raid 2?
No, I haven't seen
That
Raid 2.
might be one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Everyone's saying that. Is it on? What's it on? Netflix?
It just came out in theaters.
Okay.
The first Raid might be on Netflix.
Yeah.
They're Indonesian action films, and they're the most violent, beautiful things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The Raid 2.
Raid 2.
Yeah.
And this is martial arts through it, or
oh my God, yeah. You watch people die in every single way possible. There is a girl who has 2 hammers and she hits people in the face with them, and then when you're bored with that, she sticks it in their mouth and pulls it out.
Yeah.
Don't give away everything.
Come on.
Spoiler alert.
That's the main story arc in Raid 2's Hammer Girl.
But that's what's like. I just saw that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to enjoy Captain America as much when he just punches people. Like, where are the hammers? You know, he could be doing so many things with that shield right now.
He could fish hook Winter Soldier.
Yeah, it looks great though, Captain America.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's all of the big comic book movies this year, though, right? There's nothing else?
There's
nothing else?
There's May 2nd, which is Spider-Man. There's May 23rd, which is Days of Future Past. And then there's August 1st, which is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I didn't know that these things seem to be popular now. That's cool. So they're going to start coming out.
By the way, I'm engaged, and I don't know how that happened.
I said this yesterday to the movie guy. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is the only one that I'm like, I can't wait to see if they can pull this.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fun. I'm a big fan. The Spider-Man thing, I didn't get behind the first one. There's too many reboots to Spider-Man. Plus, I'm more of a DC guy.
Me too.
So I'm going to be disappointed next year.
You're a DC guy?
Yeah, I've never seen a Thor movie.
I didn't see Thor 2 because
I've never picked up a Thor comic book.
But you've watched Green Lantern?
Green Lantern, yeah, I did eventually watch on cable.
I'm sorry, man.
What's that?
Truthful.
Yeah.
It's a nice, truthful statement, I said. Now, you refuse to watch the Marvels because you're DC?
Yeah. I've never. Yeah, Avengers I watch, and that was only because they were showing it in a mental hospital, and that I was committed into.
Oh, okay.
That's because we understand it better.
Hey, if it got you through, though, good for Marvel.
But do you like all of the DC movies? I mean, Green Lantern is horrible.
Green Lantern was bad. The Man of Steel, I was not a fan of.
I emotionally... I think I hate that movie more than I've ever hated anything in my life.
Would you guys like it better if we just got around to call him the Steel Man instead of the Man of Steel? That kind of language isn't used anymore.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. That movie is everything that's wrong with modern society.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean that. I
would probably say our foreign policies on how we treat people.
They made a Superman movie for people who used to beat the shit out of me for liking Superman. That's what it is. It's literally people are like, Superman's a queer and the world don't work, and that's who they made it for. Like people who drink Mountain Dew and listen to Papa Roach every day. It's disgusting. He doesn't save people. He's an asshole. The worst thing is Pa Kent. You know, Pa Kent is supposed to be the guy who makes him a better person, and he's a dickbag.
Just let the kid drown. That was Pa Kent's advice. Yeah. Would you just let a kid drown so people are...
Sometimes the weak need to die.
See, this is the thing, too, Mike, that you brought it up, that now people who never like comic books love comic book movies, and you see, like, beautiful women going, you know, I'm a nerd. You know what I mean? I'm such a nerd. I guess I'm a geek.
Yeah.
You know, are you?
There's nothing like I've never been one of those. You throw around that word and you're like, I know people people who have gone through a ton of shit because of that word. Just because you got prescription glasses from Warby Parker. Then you're
but that was only so you could do the Four Eyes comedy show. Priorities.
Thanks for plugging it. Finally got back into it. Fuck everything. We've moved 18 tickets.
Buy a ticket for the people of comedy.
We've got show for me from a kidney flathead.
We've sold one seat for each eye.
It really is. He's like a coworker of Dick Tracy.
Four Eyes.
You gotta go to the Four Eyes Comedy Festival.
No, I mean, the whole Big Bang Theory is my Medea. I always say that it's nerd face, you know. But like, I get it too. I mean, because it's like you kind of give and you take. Like, we wouldn't have a Guardians of the Galaxy movie if Mugbloods didn't love this stuff, and I wouldn't be able to tell a lot of the jokes that I tell, you know.
Right. Yeah. I do like that there's almost this seismic shift, and now the real nerds are atop of the mountain, and they're like, you can't come up this mountain.
Well, there was just a study out today that said that so-called, like, popular kids get bullied more than outsiders because it's a very competitive thing to be popular, so they get fucked with all the time. And it hurts them more to drop a couple of steps.
Yeah. Well, I just always assumed that if someone was mean and popular in high school, that their life was going to be done by 25.
That's where they would have peaked.
Yeah, they peaked. They peaked in high school.
I can't imagine popularity being a thing anymore with kids on their phones all the time.
Yeah.
But see, they're trying to be popular on their phone.
Yeah.
That's the fucking problem. How many followers or whatever the hell they have, and they freak out over it.
Do they?
Yeah. If someone writes something bad about them on some message board, they're fucked from it and they think about killing themselves.
Jesus.
Oh, there's a lot of that shaming that. Well, that is the one thing. Bullying is 24 hours now.
Yeah.
But I also figure, like, in the way that, like, all pop culture is splintered and there's no main thing anymore, I figure it would be the same with kids. But
you would think that if you were some weird art student in Wichita, you'd be able to find friends in the Lower East Side if you went on the computer. You know what I mean? Like, before it was like, someday I'm going to move out of here. But now you can just go, found the clique I'm hanging out with online.
Where's all the great music going to come from? Because it used to be like I was a misunderstood kid in Lawrence, Kansas, and then I got into punk rock because I found a CD.
It's France and they wear robot helmets.
Yeah.
Right.
God
Yeah.
damn it. That's what we got now?
It's all Sweden. I mean, all the music is Swedish dudes now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It did used to be gay kids who got fucking pushed out of the South, came to New York and either wrote great music or paint.
Yeah.
You know, they were like amazing. And now they're like, we want to be gay in Omaha. And you're like, why?
We're going to march. We're going to march in Omaha. You're like, just go to San Francisco. You'll do so great there.
Right.
I guess I paid like life dues too. Like, I feel like maybe I'm one of the last generation to grow up in a Florida that was really Florida. You know? we got the internet like around the time I was like, you know, like in 8th grade, but that loneliness before that and even after that, like, it is so crazy being out of Florida. Like, you forget, like, I was an atheist, and the power of being able to say you didn't believe in God to people in Florida was this amazing, wonderful thing. In New York, they don't care. They're like, which God?
You're right. That like the origin stories are all going to be fucked now because of the internet. No one's going to have a tough.
It's also the only reason I'm not alone, so I have to kind of love the internet too.
But it does keep people, just think of how many people aren't working because they're tweeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, Andy Warhol would have just been tweeting all day instead of fucking painting.
Yeah. You're right. There's too much. The internet, I've noticed, I just have this reaction to go on Facebook when I go on my computer. I don't want to. I just go on it. I'm like, why the fuck am I here? I've checked birthdays. I'm good.
I thought of it like that whole cancel Colbert thing. It's like the reason we're all fucking babies now is because everything's a pacifier.
Yeah.
You know? Like, everything is just there to distract you and to make you waste time and to make you feel important even though you aren't.
That's what it is. We're removing uncomfortability from people's lives where it's like, being uncomfortable used to be good because it made you do something.
I was just thinking that Mike is saying the most interesting stuff by wearing an Avengers shirt.
To me, it's not even the Avengers shirt as much as it's the orange.
This is actually the cover to issue 277, which is the end of the Under Siege storyline.
Take that.
Written by Roger Stern and drawn by the great John Buscema.
Fucking poser-ass nerds.
See,
wear a shirt like that.
Now, see how many, this is the interesting thing, how many people who go to Comic-Con.
By the way, you're judging my Avengers shirt by pointing at me with a back scratch.
Yeah, I have it all the time. But seriously,
I feel like that, like Marlon Brando had that before he died.
It's like, that's what you mean.
Get me a sandwich, I'm parched.
Who brought you here? Who fucking brought you here?
Feed me my lines.
But do you think that people at Comic-Con would know what that shirt is, though?
It's the Dr. Moreau comedy show.
Yeah,
I think some people would.
Some.
Yeah.
Because I think a huge part now, the people who go to those things don't like it as much as the original people who dug it.
Well, it's all sexy girls dressed up like Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Just waiting to go see Chris Hemsworth talk about playing Thor.
Well, that's some of it. I mean, it depends. I mean, the thing with Comic-Cons now is that they literally, like you were saying, you know, the Wichita thing, like, they really are, they're the Ellis Island for anyone who doesn't know how to talk to their dad. Like, it's bring us your weird, your goth, your, you know, geeky. Like, we don't, like, because I'll perform at some of them, and it is so funny how splintered Ninja Turtles that audience is, where like all the streams are crossing and nobody really gets each other, but they all tolerate each other. And it's funny because in the same way New York, like, we're all different, but we all kind of hate each other, but we realize we just got to get along. That's exactly what a Comic-Con is. And when you start making fun of the individual subcultures, people love it. When you shit on the bronies, the anime people get off on it. Because that is the crazy thing about being a nerd. It's like we all kind of like each other, but there's also that. Look, man, cars that turn into robots is one thing, but these fucking talking turtles with their pizza and their weapons, they're wearing masks, but they're turtles. You know.
My favorite thing's always been to be around like some of my friends that are really like kind of nerdy, and then bring up the fact that I love the NFL. That's like kind of
that freaks them out.
Well, they're like, what? And I like them like yelling at me like, that's dumb. They're a bunch of meathead millionaires. I'm like, yeah, come on, I like it.
I mean, to me, nothing is, and me and Soder talk about this, nothing is nerdier and creepier to me than college sports. I think it's the most sickening thing that adult men talk about kids' futures.
Not only do they talk about it, they use their money to shape who could sin and who doesn't. I mean, these guys go back with big bucks and are forcing it into
these.
There's
something about looking at a 17-year-old and going, look at that guy. He's got good prospects. You know? Look at them arms.
Or being like, I run the most successful furniture store in this whole town, so I'm going to see if that little boy will come over here. Yeah, and I love it. And I love college football, and I can't get enough. And I will always love it.
I hope
ruining kids' lives.
I hope they unionize. I really do.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope they all get paid.
Yeah.
I would love if they got paid.
So it's like the WWE family, because like they treat their employees crappy, like college football with the concussions and all that.
I mean,
like,
it's crazy.
Is it hard for you because I know you've liked sports all your life, has it been harder for you the more you realize how much they're killing themselves?
I think there's something good about it. I don't know. I like it. There's something.
This is a new angle. I've never heard this.
You know what it really is? We're living in these times where everyone knows the symptoms, everyone knows the problems. I kind of like that guys are just going out and smashing into each other, and they know that
the other problem is that people willing to do that are, you know, from impoverished places.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to have rich kids playing football in the future.
No, it's going to be the new war.
Yeah, it is going to be like, let's bring the minorities and have them fight here in ancient Rome.
You're like the Dark Knight. You either die a quarterback or live long enough to be a cripple.
Mike Lawrence, thanks for being here, appearing at the Moon Tower Comedy Festival.
Moon Tower.
Part of the Comedians with Glasses show, April 23rd through the 26th in Austin, Texas.
If I get LASIK, they'll unbook me.
And his podcast, Nerd of Mouth, on Cape Comedy Radio. on Twitter at the Mike Lawrence, and Dan Soder also appearing at the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, April 23rd through the 26th. And this week, Thursday through Saturday, Comedy on State in Madison, Wisconsin, at Dan Soder on Twitter.
Make sure you sign up for that O&A Unmasked that we're going to be doing on April 17th. Head on over to the iBang for tickets. Be part of that sweepstakes. We'll see you guys back in here tomorrow.
That's the end of my show. Donk.
Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday through Thursday with Harry, Mark, and John.